As you begin to notice just how easily your mind can shift from one way of seeing to another, you might wonder, have you ever really seen things as they are, or only as you once believed them to be? Because long ago there was a traveller, standing before two paths, frozen. One path seemed too high, too far, too perfect, untouchable, and the other too low beneath him. So, beneath him, that if he were to stumble there, what would that say about him? And so he stood, watching, waiting, thinking, never moving. And maybe you've been that traveller. Maybe you've stood at that crossroads of too much and too little, of seeing something as out of reach, and yet, if it rejects you, you feel worthless. Strange, isn't it? How the mind can play its tricks. Because here's the secret. That was never a real choice. You see, a bird, it never asks if the sky is too high or the branches too low. It simply moves. It plays with the wind. It dances in the air, not questioning, not overthinking, just being. And the more you allow yourself to be, the more you realise there was never a perfect 10. There was never a not enough. These were just shadows on the wall, illusions of the mind, because you were never meant to be frozen. You were meant to move. And when you move, something fascinating happens. The pressure dissolves. The weight lifts. You step into the moment. You find yourself laughing at something unexpected, connecting with something without even thinking about it. Then suddenly, you're just there, engaged, alive. And what if, just for a moment, you let go of that old story, the one that said that you had to judge before you could act? What if instead, you just stepped forward, like that bird catching the wind? What if instead of looking at someone as above or below, you saw them as a mystery, just waiting to unfold, a moment waiting to be experienced? And as that idea settles in, somewhere deep beyond thought, you begin to feel lighter. You begin to feel freer. And the next time you see someone, a smile, a glance, a presence, you might find yourself moving before the thought even comes, naturally, effortlessly, because that is just who you are now. And isn't that a beautiful thing? And you might have noticed how certain thoughts, they once seemed so real, so absolute, and yet, the moment another possibility appears, those old thoughts, they begin to shift, to soften, to unravel, as if they were never quite as solid as they once seemed, because somewhere in the back of your mind, you may have held on to this idea that there's such a thing as too good and not enough, as if life could be measured on a scale, as if connection could be weighed, as if worth was something to be judged rather than something to be experienced. But what if that was never the truth? What if people were not objects to be rated, categorized, or placed above or below, but instead simply mirrors reflecting back what you choose to see? And as you realize that, you begin to wonder, what happens when you change what you see? Because a child, it never looks at another child and thinks, is this person a 10? Are they worthy of play? What if they reject me? No, a child simply plays. A child simply laughs. A child simply connects. And somewhere along the way, someone taught you that you had to earn connection, that you had to prove something, that you had to be enough before you could be free. But what if that was never true? What if you already were enough? What if you always have been? That you begin to wonder about that, something inside starts to loosen. You might even begin to feel it now, that softening, that release. Because the moment you stop measuring, the moment you stop weighing, the moment you stop placing people on impossible pedestals or in unworthy places, something amazing happens. You step into the present. You stop thinking. You just move. And in that movement, there's no fear. There's no rejection. There's no pressure. Because what was once a weight on your shoulders has become a feather in the wind. And the wind never asks, is this the right way? It simply flows. And just like that, you begin to flow too. Because connection is not a test. It's not something you win or lose. It's not something you must qualify for. It's something you create. As you hear these words, as they settle in, as they resonate in ways beyond just hearing, you might find the next time you see someone, you simply smile, you simply speak, you simply move, without thought, without hesitation, because that is just what feels right. That's just who you are now. And as you continue to move through this world, noticing how much lighter everything feels, you begin to wonder, was it always this easy? And maybe, just maybe, it always was.